we'll both learn something here. So I have my research right here on my laptop, and I'll be reading it to you, and so hopefully that will help. So number one, we're going to talk about the warning signs. The warning signs are conditions associated with increased risk of suicide. So let's get into that real quick. It says here, death or terminal illness of relative or friend, divorce, separation, broken relationship, stress on family, loss of health, real or imaginary, loss of job, home, money, status, self-esteem, personal security, alcohol or drug abuse, and depression. And the young depression may be masked by hyperactivity or acting out behavior. In the elderly, it may be incorrectly attributed to the natural effects of aging. Depression that seems to quickly disappear for no apparent reason is cause for concern. The early stages of recovery from depression can be a high-risk period. Recent studies have associated anxiety disorders with increased risk for attempted suicide. There's also another warning sign which covers the emotional and behavior changes associated with suicide. I want to go over those as well. It's quite a bit, so I'll probably have to split this up into two parts, so bear with me. The emotional and behavior changes associated with suicide. There's overwhelming pain, which means that pain that threatens to exceed the person's pain coping capacities. Hopelessness, the feeling that the pain will continue or get worse, things will never get better. That's what they think. Or powerlessness, the feeling that one's resources for reducing pain are exhausted. The feelings of worthlessness, shame, guilt, self-hatred, or here is a really, really good one. This is not written down, but I want to express this one. This one is about most people that are suicidal say this one thing: no one cares. So keep that in mind. Fears of losing control, harming self or others. Personality becomes sad, withdrawn, tired, apathetic, anxious, and so forth and so forth. Suicidal behavior, previous suicide attempts or many attempts, explicit statements, development of suicidal plan according to means, like they're rehearsing for it, like if it's a occurring event, like if you see signs of them actually trying to portray these events, then that's attempted suicidal behavior. Now we're going to get into how you should help them or help yourselves. Number one, take it very seriously. Suicide is no laughing matter at all, or depression at all. So number one, take it very seriously. One myth of suicide and depression is that people who talk about it don't do it. False. Studies have found that more than 75% of all completed suicides did things in a few weeks or months prior to the deaths to indicate to others that they were in deep despair. Another myth is anyone who tries to kill himself has got to be crazy. That's also false, despite what everyone says. Perhaps 10% of all suicidal people are psychotic or have delusional beliefs about reality. Most suicidal people suffer from the recognized mental illness of depression, but many depressed people adequately manage their daily affairs. The absence of craziness does not mean the absence of suicide risk. And another myth, those problems weren't enough to commit suicide over. Holy crap, I hear this one a lot. I hear this one very, very often, actually. Oh, that's nothing to be depressed about. Oh, that's nothing to commit suicide over. That is one of the most worst things you can tell somebody that's dealing with depression or suicide. And this is why. It's often said by people who knew a completed suicide. You cannot assume that because you feel something is not worth being suicidal about or being depressed about, that the problem you are with feels the same way. It is not how bad the problem is, but how badly it's hurting the person who has it. I'm going to repeat that because this is very, very important. It is not how bad the problem is, but how bad ultimately is hurting the person who has it. Remember that. Number 2, remember, suicidal behavior is a cry for help. And this is a myth that I often hear. It says if a person is going to kill himself, nothing can stop him. That's also false. I don't want people to feel as though they cannot be stopped once they're have the suicidal thought, because that is false. The fact that a person is still alive is sufficient proof that part of him wants to remain alive. The suicidal person is ambivalent, which means a part of him wants to live and part of him wants not so much death as he wants the pain to end. So you can help them, but with that being said, don't try to tackle it alone. So be willing to give and get help sooner rather than later. Suicide prevention is not a last-minute activity. There's textbooks, there's internet, there's so many resources now that you can look it up and help that person in any way, shape, or form. And always listen to them. Listen. Give the person every opportunity to unburden his troubles and ventilate his feelings. You don't need to say much, and there are no magic words. If you are concerned, your voice and manner will show it. Give him relief from being alone with his pain. Let him know you are glad he turned to you. Patience, sympathy, acceptance. Those 3 things avoid arguments and advice giving. Number 5, ask, are you having thoughts of suicide? Okay, yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, why would you ask somebody that's suicidal, are you having thoughts of suicide? Wouldn't that just prolong it? No, that's a myth. People already have the idea. Suicide is constantly in the news media. Am I right? So, if you ask a despairing person this question, you are doing a good thing for them. You are showing him or her that you care about them, that you take them seriously, and that you are willing to let them share their pain with you. You are giving them further opportunity to discharge pent up and painful feelings. And if the person is having thoughts of suicide or depression, find out how far along his ideation has progressed. Number 6, if the person is acutely suicidal, do not leave them alone. If the means are present, try to get rid of them. Detoxify the whole house. Yeah, it's time consuming, but if you want to keep them alive, you'll do it. And urge professional help. This is extremely important. Persistence and patience may be needed to seek, engage, and continue with as many options as possible. In any referral situation, let the person know you care and want to maintain contact. And absolutely no secrets. It is the part of the person that is afraid of more pain that says, don't tell anyone. It is the part that wants to stay alive that tells you about it. Respond to that part of the person and persistently seek out a mature and compassionate person with whom you can review the situation. And number 9, from crisis to recovery. Most people have suicidal thoughts or feelings at some point in their lives, yet less than 2% of all deaths are suicides. Nearly all suicidal people suffer from conditions that will pass with time or with the assistance of a recovery program. Now, I don't actually agree with what I just read right there, where it says, yet nearly all suicidal people suffer from conditions that will pass with time. I believe that time is of the essence, and it needs to be controlled as soon as possible. So I don't really agree with that. And taking these modest steps can save many lives and reduce a great deal of human suffering. So with that being said, like I said, if you or anyone that you know has thoughts of suicide or has very deep depression, please call 1-800-SUICIDE or 1-800-784-2433 immediately. And this is it for Mad Hatter TV. I want you guys to practice peace, love, unity, and respect for 2010 and on and on and on. I wish you guys a happy new year, and till next time, goodbye.